Go. All right, we are recording the 2020 virtual livestock show for Louisa County 4-H. Our judge, Noah Henson, has joined us. I'm going to give you the floor, Noah.
Okay. All right, guys. Congratulations on your show. And I know this year was way different for you, and it was a challenge getting videos. And I mean, I can promise you, as much as y'all wanted to be there in person, I would have rather been there in person as well, judging them. I do enjoy getting to visit with youth as we're showing, but I mean, this is the year that this is kind of the hand we've got dealt. So this is what we had to do, and make sure that y'all are, I mean, I know y'all worked hard at it, but tell y'all as extension agent, I mean, how much you appreciate it, because this is a challenge. I've had to do it myself. I know how hard it is to put stuff on video, and it was an effort to do. So make sure y'all thank those folks. And as we go through this, guys, don't take it to heart. You know, if you think, man, I should have beat that one in class, and you know, if we saw them in person, you may should have, but we had videos to work with. And so, you know, I took the time and viewed them and you know, did the best that we could off of the videos that we had. So we'll go through these and the placings, and I'll talk to them and hopefully give y'all some explanations on the results. And we'll get started.
We're going to start with our lamb show and senior showmanship.
All right, senior showmanship. Young man there out in the middle. I mean, I thought he nailed it. I mean, tremendous job and very professional and very smooth with the way that you, you know, presented this animal. And that's probably, I guess, what I look for, especially on these videos. You kind of have to take a step back and maybe look for a few different things than you would in person. And it's just, you know, how smooth you are and kind of right whenever. The way I see it is kind of right whenever that video starts is essentially the same as whenever you walk into the ring. And that first impression is always what hits you strong. And the young man there on his video, just right when we started it, man, he was set up right, presented just very professionally and very smooth. And that's probably what I look for as much as anything, is just kind of how smooth you are. You know, I don't have a particular style that I think is the best. It's just who can be the smoothest and who can make the animal look the best. If that requires you getting way down on that animal, or that requires you standing straight up, you know, whatever way that we can get that animal presented right with the head back, the neck coming out high, and all four legs planted square and straight. You know, those are just the fundamentals of things I look for, and who does it the smoothest. Young man did it the best for me there. You know, we talked about the kid, or the young man there in second, and you know, I mean, I thought another one that it was close. I felt like between first and second in this particular drive. I mean, both of the young men here do a tremendous job. I thought there were some times though at the very second probably just had that head a little too far forward. He was more pulling, and I like for that neck to kind of come out at a 90-degree angle, and then the nose to kind of circle back around in a 90-degree angle there. Thought you had it pulled forward and a little too high every once in a while was, you know, probably things that we're going to sort you on there. Young man that goes third, you know, your bracing stance is probably one that I think we can work on. The way that you're standing back behind that animal, you know, I appreciate it because I can see a full view of it, but I think if we just kind of wrap around and just get a touch more in front, I think that'll help. I think that'll help that animal a whole bunch, and then with that, you know, to give it something a little more solid base to drive into, and then also to help you get its head just up and a little back as opposed to being pulled forward like that. And then the young man that we used to round out the class is one that I think, you know, probably your video kind of threw me off in terms of just the way that you were more or less just kind of holding the animal and talking. I feel like we probably need to, you know, spend just a touch more time actually bracing the animal as opposed to you just being on the side of it, kind of holding it. Brace it, get his back up in it, walk it a little smoother. I thought you were just in front of it just a little too much. But a good class, and I thought that y'all, all four of them, did an excellent job.
So our grand champion senior showman is Jacob Capizella. Congratulations, Jacob. So we'll move to our junior showman.
Yeah, so single entry here, but the young lady just nailed it. I mean, if we'd have had some more in there, I think that she'd have done tremendous because she was real good. I mean, she's got it nailed down as far as on how to brace them and how to get on one and get it presented right. I mean, tremendous job. Even though you were single entry, you deserve this champion, no doubt.
Congratulations, Stella. We're going to move into our market lamb show, starting with our lightweights.
Yep, our lightweights here. I thought we started off with one that was just real good in my mind. I think that's one that runs uphill. That one's tall shouldered and just level design. And I do love it up there in its front end. Its chest cavities, we study it back into its flank. I think it's proportioned right. That's one that's, we got on top of it. That was a big back, big hip kind of one. We're going to change that one a little bit. I do think them hind legs maybe just kind of come under it just ever so slightly, probably what we call sickle hocked and just a tick weak pasturing. But when we get off of it and just stay having silhouette, that's the right kind that runs uphill, big-bodied, stout one. Young man, is another competitive lamb in my mind. One that we talk about just the fundamentals of good, genuine livestock. That one's round-bodied and big-backed and big-hipped. We get off on the side. I think that one's balance probably throws off for me just a little bit. That one's longer bladed and deeper there in his chest, and we study him back up into his flank. That underline just probably gets a little too harsh for me. And then whenever we asked him to go, then back legs wanted to hock in just ever so slightly as well. Wouldn't mind just readjusting it from a balance standpoint there, but good, genuine livestock. Young man that goes third has one that, as we studied on a 3/4, man, we like that hip shape. That one's round muscled and good hip. We asked it to go. I think that's where that one sort of fell apart for me there. Just wasn't as coordinated, as coupled off of that front end and off of its hind legs. Just wanted to step outside of itself a little too much. Wasn't as confident when we asked it to step down. Thought that was a little too tight there in his forerib, and because of that, there wasn't near as much muscle up on the top side of that one's skeleton. Same man has, 2 in this class, and the white-faced one, unfortunately, just stayed too true to breed character, I guess, and no one's being a little lighter muscled. That one's just off from a muscle standpoint. I think as he matures and gets a little more bloom on him, we're going to see a little more power come into that one. But as now, that one just didn't have enough for this particular class.
All right, so we had Jacob Capizella with our first place lamb, followed by Tyler Gibson. Isaiah Bowman with his first entry, 1365, and number 4 was Isaiah Bowman with number 2005. And now we'll go into heavyweight market weights.
All right, our heavyweights there, the young man, this one was just, bred true to the class here at heavyweight. That's a big muscle, just stout featured, heavy constructed kind of lamb that we like to see. One that I think is just tremendous in his muscle shape. Big top, big hip kind of animal. Once we get him braced, he wants to get his top up ever so slightly. But and in the video there, as we asked that one to move, man, that one's sound. He stayed collected. He relaxed his top and just got it around flawlessly, I felt like. That's a good kind of market lamb, no doubt. Young lady's got a big one here that goes second. One that I think in terms of muscle, you're not going to fault that one. Just huge in terms of his rack shape and big back, big hipped one. Again, from a balance standpoint, that's where that one fell out for me there. Just a little more common up in his chest. Wanted to push a little too much breastplate for me. A little longer bladed, so to speak. And then, again, as we study that underline, just not as neat and as unique, I guess, as our class winner there. And another one, as we ask it to go, was just 2 week pasturing. Wanted to hock in there ever so slightly, but a bunch of muscle on it for sure. Kind of the opposite end of the spectrum there as the young lady's lamb that goes third. Probably is a little neater looking one, I guess, so to speak, a little taller shouldered. One that wants to drive uphill a little better and may actually even plant, we talk about its structure standpoint, may actually plant a little smoother and just more secure. But it's one, again, I think that was just getting mature and he's wanting to push some breast out there. And then as we just study him from a muscle standpoint, that was just lighter muscled for me. It wasn't near as big back, didn't have the shape down there in his lower leg. Just wanted to flatten out for me ever so slightly, a little narrow pin one as well. And then the young man that we used to round out this class, a big chested one that drives at you right, but then as we just study it back through, I wanted to get just too harsh there in his forerib. And then consequently, I think that was just the lightest muscle lamb in this class. It was just the narrowest in terms of his upper body shape. And then as we study him out of his hip, just wanted to flatten out too much for me. Just didn't have enough muscle to run with the ones up above it. But I like the one that wins the class for sure in this particular drive.
So we have Jacob Capizella with our first place heavyweight, followed by Stella Gibson with her entry 105. Followed again by Stella Gibson with 111, and Austin Libby rounding out the class with 8505. Now we'll go to our champion drive.
All right, so we get in our champion drive, and I guess it's the same young man when he brought us 2 good ones there. The lightweight, we talked about it being this awesome from a design standpoint, and with his big heavyweight, we love that one just for the genuine muscle that it brought and the practicality that it had. And I thought that they were both um, real good. Congratulations to this young man for having, two in the final drive there. I thought that he did excellent job with these lambs.
And our grand champion market lamb.
Yep, I like the heavyweight to win. Just so much muscle, so much power, with a good look and a sound one. That's just the right kind of animal. And young man, you deserve to be champion today.
It's a reserve champion drive.
Yeah, we bring back in that second place, and again, we liked it. Had all that muscle on it. Just wasn't built as good in terms of its shoulder and its chest and its flank and its hind leg. There had some problems for me. Still had a bunch of muscle on it. So I like to follow it back up with that lightweight. So the young man, you exhibited the two best lambs in my mind in your particular county today, and the lightweight was just the one that is, loved it just for its genuine build and just how good it was from the side. And as that one progresses, it's going to get plenty of muscle on it. Congratulations, young man. You brought us two good ones.
Congratulations, Jacob Capizella, for the grand and the reserve market lambs. And now we'll go to breeding you.
All right, now breeding ewes. The young lady there, that's the one she had in showmanship, and that one caught my eye there. And then as we studied back in the particular breeding class, I thought it was another one that was just really, really good. When we talk about being built phenomenal, that's there, just so short bladed and good chested, but then big body back behind it. It's very trendy, so to speak, as being the one that had just a lot of wool on it, a lot of shag, so to speak, but just looking really cool too. Being functional. I mean, you could change it ever so slightly there in its chest and its neck setting, just relax it just a little bit, but that was the biggest muscle, biggest body, coolest made lamb there. The young man there, had two left in this class, and I like the one that goes second again, just probably better on a balance standpoint. That one's just I think better built from the side as we study one up there in its top line. They're out of its hip, and as we ask it to go, it's probably a little more functional. Big-bodied, stout one to go second. One, though, that I just didn't think had those extra wow factors as our class winner. Wasn't as unique up there in its shoulder. Wasn't as cool out of its hip there. And then the one that goes third, the same young man, probably one's just a little more shorter coupled for me, so to speak. That was just shorter bodied and shorter necked and kind of just too moderate and quick, so to speak. Those are the kind that you wonder, how big are they going to get? I think they're just a little too small for me. A little more too compact. And then as we study it in terms of its muscle, it's wide, but we talk about volume, we got that length and the width. And I just think that was just too short made, a little too short coupled for me there. But a good class.
So congratulations, Stella Gibson, with our grand champion ewe. And congratulations, Jacob Capizella, with our reserve champion. We're going to go into our market goat show, starting with showmanship, starting with senior showmanship.
All right, senior goat showmanship, and I forgot to tell all about myself, I guess, in the bio there. But we do raise club goats here at my house, and my brothers do. We raise several of these things, so I do like the goat show probably as good as any of them. So I enjoyed getting to watch this. The young lady we used to win, man, she nailed it. I thought that if I make a good one, I wouldn't mind her showing it because she just was real good in the way she'd get that one set up. Drove it uphill. I mean, I actually really got in and embraced one, and I appreciate that. Had its legs square. I mean, the fundamentals nailed it, but still having one. It was just so smooth in the way that she presented that one, and I really, really appreciate that, the way that she got that one presented. And then, as we talk about going back into our second place there, the young lady brought us another one that was just, the goat probably had a little more challenge, I guess, to show. That one was probably not just a smooth made, so there is a little more challenge in that, and I thought she got around in front of it good, and whenever we'd ask her to lead and then get it and embrace it, she could get that one's top up. As you can see, it's a little weak up behind its shoulder. She get its top up pretty good. I think sometimes maybe she just had its head just too far into her, and I think if we just come around in front of that goat's body just a little more, you'll be able to get that one presented just a touch better, and it'll make you look just a little smoother as well. The individual there that goes third, a high quality goat, no doubt. But with that, sometimes I think we just get his front legs out a little too far forward. And then mostly, I think, as we just study the video, it was mostly focused on the goat as opposed to the showman. And, I hate to get critical on our video quality, but I think if we just back the camera up where I can actually see the showman and the goat, that'll help you in terms of the showmanship. competition there, because I think it all goes together. Is how well you work with your partner there, and I couldn't see sometimes just how comfortable you were and how smooth you were, because the video was mostly just focused right on top of the goat. Young man goes, he goes fourth there. Is another one that I think is a little more challenging to show. We study that dip there in its top pretty hard. That's one we really got to get into and really get that one bracing and trying to drive uphill. And I think a lot of times we just kind of stood off and let it relax too much. When that happens, it just really throws the balance off on that one. And then the young individual there that goes fifth in this particular class just had one that I think you weren't really on that one driving too much. I appreciate the video, and then when we studied over its top and when the video wrapped around, we could see how much muscle it had and all. But I think from the side is where you just need to get in front of it just a tick more, really get into it and really drive it and really help that one out, and stretching back legs out just a little bit as well.
So congratulations, Amber Thompson, for first place senior showman, Grand Championship senior showman. We'll move on to our junior showmanship.
All right, and our junior showmanship, the young man there, I mean, you can see him getting in on that one and driving it. Man, I thought that you just nailed that deal. I thought that you were you stuck out in this one, and you came to town to play with that goat, because I thought that you were just nailed it in terms of showmanship, man. In front of that thing, got his head up, driving it, got his feet right. I mean, I thought that you did just a tremendous job. Young man that goes second there, fairly highly presented goat and a good kind of quality just in terms of our video. One, though, that I think is we just ask him to go. Sometimes the go wouldn't lead as good, and then sometimes he would just, when we ask him to brace it, maybe not in on it as much as we'd like to see. Didn't have the same intensity as the young man that wins, but still two very professionally presented young men there who goes first and second. Third place, the boy was, enjoying it. I mean, he likes this thing as much as anybody I've seen today. But just, as we ask you to show, I like to get that head back a little bit. I mean, get that head straight up out of the shoulder and then get in and embrace that thing. When we let its head get down too low, that just throws the balance of the goat off just a little too much for me. The young lady there that we used to go fourth, as we're showing these things, it is good to stop them and then just get in, embrace them, and set them up. And I think what you do, you just walk and just stop and wouldn't really get in on it, set the legs and set the head, and it just threw your animal off as well. And the same thing with the lady that we used to round out this particular drive. Didn't really get in and set them up. Had their head down too low, had their feet off. We like their feet to be square and their back legs to be back just a little bit, and really get in and show these things. I think that's where the last two probably fell out just a little too much for me. Good class, and the young man there that went first just nailed it, I felt like.
Congratulations, Izzy Capizella, with his champion junior showman. And we will move on to our novice junior showman.
Yeah, here in our novice, I'm guessing these are some of our first time, showing. And really the young lady there with the white-headed goat, she would have ran pretty hard up in our juniors, I felt like. And, she did a great job. I do think we can get a little more in front of it from time to time. I think that's probably our problem. Was just that you want to stay off to the side just a little too much. Go ahead and get around in it, get its head back, look a little more comfortable. But you had it planted square and walked tremendously. And we just could work on some bracing qualities just a little bit. Young lady that goes second, we talking about just if we want to study these things on the move, she does a great job at that. I think it's just when we stop and want to set them up and view them on a profile, it's probably where you fall out just a little for me. I really like to see you bracing them. I really like to see you getting their head back and their feet square. And I think that's probably just, some things we can work on improving there. And then young lady goes third, kind of similar to our last scenario. Walking them's great, but when we stop, that's where we can really make them shine. We get them set up right. We get into them and drive. We show some of that intensity and just, when we get a chance to go back to in-person shows, you watch these seniors as a way that they really stop and set these things up and drive them. You pick up some pointers there and you'll be well on your way. But a good novice showmanship class, no doubt.
So congratulations, Sayla Bowman, champion junior novice showman. And move into our hog show now. Oh, nope, sorry. The lightweight market.
Yep, our lightweights here. So the young lady that we used to win showmanship, I thought that she had just a really, really good goat in this particular class. That's the one that is by far the shape list, I felt like. I mean, the biggest back, biggest hip goat that was square built. That was just awesome and just massive in terms of his features there. I thought that was a pretty easy place to land. Same young lady goes second in this particular class, and one that's probably a little longer, more extended, and just fancier, so to speak, there from the side. The way that one's thin necked and long necked, but kind of comes with that. Sometimes we lose that just abundance of power. I think that's where that goat probably fell out just a little bit. Was it just wasn't as stout as your one that wins. But I love that one's genuine build. A young lady goes third there. We can't see it on the picture, but in the video, that was another heavy muscled kind of goat, one that had some shape up there in his rack and his loin. As we study it down in terms of its bone work, and you can even see from its skull, it's a little frailer, and that correlates down to its bone work and down in there into its foot size was just too small. And with that, we just lose the added abundance of muscle and power. A shapely little guy, but just didn't have the width and the power we like to see. The one that goes fourth is, well, I did appreciate that one for just being wide made, for sure. But then as we just study that one on a balance standpoint, again, we can't see it from here, but in the actual video, the balance standpoint, that one just kind of threw off. That was a long bladed one that was just too steep tipped and too straight legged for me. I want to redesign that one on the structural standpoint. And then as we go over into fifth place, a goat that's just tremendous in terms of its body. We studied its big bellied kind of one. But one that, in terms of its forerib, I think that's where he was off. And then with that one was just too peaked up there in its top, a little too light muscle. And as we studied out of its hip, another one that's just too narrow in its pin set and too flat there into its lower leg. But one that just bounces up pretty nice, though. Young man that we used to round out this class, dude, I loved you in showmanship. Thought you nailed it. Unfortunately, the goat just, for you to, you showed the wheels off of that thing, and especially one that's just not as, probably not put together quite as neat. We can see that was kind of big chested and weak topped, and then kind of has that roller coaster look going down his back, and just a little lighter muscled and a little narrower gauge. But it's one, man, that I thought you did an excellent job showing. Fortunately, the goat's just not put together as good as some of the others there. But a good class for lightweights.
So Amber Thompson, first place with goat 163. Amber Thompson, second place with goat 161. Kaylee Loudon with goat 00163 in third place. Kaylee Loudon 00164 in fourth place. Allison Allen with tag 118 in fifth, and Izzy Capizella with goat 116 rounding out our class. And now we'll go to middleweight market.
All right. As they get a little heavier, I think our quality starts going up. And the young man there that we used to win this particular class just has one that when we actually asked that one to lead and walk out, his muscle structure and bone structure, and as we study that one in terms of the way that its muscle shape is just awesome. And if we had the video go on top of it, that one's just extremely wide and stout and good hipped and just heavy muscle there. I think it's the most unique up there in its shoulder blade. I liked it there a whole bunch. I thought that was a combination goat to win this class. Young man that goes second, a little shorter made goat, and you had to get down to show that one. I thought you did a good job with that one for sure. And that one is just, in terms of his height and presentation, is very good. I think it's just one, though, that when we talk about a market animal, just kind of ran out of power, so to speak, in terms of its muscle that it has. That one's a little more narrow down his top. Your rack's not as big, and loin's not as wide. And it's just narrow pin, too. I think that's one that with some time and some exercise and some proteins, you're going to get heavier muscle for sure. Just a little too light for me today. The black goat that goes third is a cool one. Now, that one caught my eye for sure. I do wish that his shoulder laid in just a tick smoother. He's a little stronger out there behind it. Neck tied in just ever so slightly better. And I do wish he was a little more secure out of his hip. I think that's his big problem. Is his tail set's just too low, and he gets up underneath himself, wants to duck in pins, and then back legs just travel too far underneath him. And then another one that I think is just a little more immature in his muscle pattern. As he starts maturing, he'll get bigger hip, but he's just a little too narrow for me today. Young man that goes fourth, that's one that I think we redesign him off of his rear legs, that he'll keep on moving up, but that one's just too steep in the tip and just too off in there, and its hind leg structure needs to be set more secure. And one, too, it's a little too bold and coarse there up in its shoulder. We want to tighten that one up there and then get out with a shot more power. And the young lady that we used to win our novice showmanship, unfortunately, that goat, I think it's probably more breed character. Just a little lighter muscle made, a little narrower gauge as we stayed down in this bone work and his footwork. A little frailer there, and that correlates up high. That was just the lightest muscled goat in this particular class. It just kind of ran out of steam in a market weight in a market class, but good class, and I like our ones on the top end of this one.
All right, congratulations, Max Kaiser with first place goat, Evan Cabazella, second place, Zach Wolfett, third place, Levi Bowman fourth, and Sayla Bowman fifth. And now our heavyweight market.
On our heavyweights, I love this one. Caught my eye in showmanship. That is by far just the most genuine animal that we've seen in this particular goat class in terms of just its body, its muscle shape, how square built it is. That's a very high quality goat that I like a good deal. The one that goes second, I think, is just an abundance of just genuine power and just body and just practicality in that one. Where we want to change it's on the design standpoint is we study it down its top. We see that big dip. It's just too weak behind its shoulder, and then we'll survive its hip ever so slightly. Not a sound out on the go, but just a very, very genuine goat. One that goes third is long bodied. We like it from that aspect and just practical. But another one that's just not as neat in its design, a little coarser shoulder, a little steeper hipped. And then with all that, that one's just lighter muscle, a little plainer in his muscle shape, a little softer, not as shapely as some up above it. The young man we used to round out the white-headed goat there. Another one's just a little too coarse made. But unfortunately, man, I think we stay back in his hip and his lower leg, just runs out of that genuine power we like to see, not that extra bulge and extra shape as some up above it. But just a good, practical, genuine kind of market goat there. Good class. I really like our class winner.
So congratulations, Matthew Wolfett with first place, Evan Capizella second, Catherine Kaiser third, and Levi Bowman fourth. Now we'll go into our champion drive.
All right, champion drive. We got the our lightweight, middleweight, and heavyweight there against each other. Three that I think are good, heavy muscle kind of goats that are just genuine in their shape and their build. I think that all three of them are good, and you can kind of see the similarities in all three of them there. But there was just something about that heavyweight that I liked a whole bunch there.
All right. Congratulations, Matthew Wolfett with our grand champion market goat. Here's our reserve champion drive.
Yep, bring that one back in. We talked about its structural issues there. I think that's like the genuine practicality of our middleweight there in terms of the way that one's built and designed and unique up in its blade. And a heavy muscle one, too, and we get it on a brace. The video of that one was pretty impressive.
Congratulations, Max Kaiser with a reserve champion market goat. Now we'll move into our breeding doe.
Breeding does. I thought that our class winner is just one that in terms of just the power and bone and just good shape that one had is one I like a bunch. That's a long-necked, attractive made one that's good-bodied and heavy-muscled and sound. You put all those things together and you've got a high-quality piece of livestock. The young man that goes, or the young individual there that goes second has one that I think is just cool from the side, and we just love the feminine qualities in that one's head and neck. One's a little longer bladed and deeper chested for me. And I think the main thing is you stay that one out of its hip. That one just gets too steep there in its tail set. And then with that, it just gets too weak in its pasterns and just kind of wants to roll out of its whole back third there. The young man, probably that goes third, probably follows our class winner, I guess, the most in type and kind. Fortunately, that was just a little more just too bold up there in his neck and too long bladed and a little steeper, I guess, and straighter. Didn't have the actual flex that we like to see in terms of structural standpoint. Just a little too straight for me. The one that goes fourth is a little shorter coupled made goat. Feminine in terms of long necked and big bodied. We like that. But it's just one that's just too flat as we state in a muscle standpoint. Peaked in its top and flat hipped. One that just ran out of steam, I felt like, compared back to some high quality ones up above it.
So congratulations, Zach Wolfett with a grand champion breeding doe. And congratulations, Arthur Wills with our reserve champion breeding doe. And we'll go into our hog show, starting with senior showmanship.
All right, so we talked about this hog showmanship, and guys, again, on our videos, we kind of had to just go for that quality. And honestly, the thing that kind of sorted for me was the folks that weren't afraid to let these things loose and not keep them in a pen. And the reason I say that is that just shows to me that you've been working with these things and that they are broke and that you had control over them was the biggest part. And the young man there that wins, he had that. That pig would go wherever he asked it to lead. He could control it the whip. He kept his head up. He stayed on the right side of it, and it was smooth. The young man that goes second there with our spot pig is just one that, you know, the pig was under control for the most part. A few times it wanted to kind of try to get away from you. We had to round it back up. Didn't have as much control. I felt like it may have been leading you a few more times than you were it. But there's another one that he had out in his yard, and that one just got excited every once in a while, wanted to run around. But when he stopped, he could, you know, take the picture. He could stop it, and everything was good. Just wanted to get out of control just a few times there. Young lady that goes third, she was loose in the yard for sure, but you kind of just went wherever that pig went. You weren't really telling it where to go. Whenever we'd ask, you know, you'd whip it, and it just kept its head down and wasn't really doing what you want to respond to. I think you got a calm pig that respects you, but that one was just out kind of doing what he wanted to do, and you were just following it. I like to see you in control of it, and you kind of point it where you want to go. Young lady that goes fourth, she did have it in the pen, but I appreciate the extra effort you put down the shavings and just make it very highly presented there. The pig wanted to get stuck in a corner a few times, and I think that's the problem. He'd get in the corner and try to get out and wanted to fight you a little bit, but I thought that you just presented that one very high quality. And then the young man we used to go fifth, unfortunately, that pig was just wanting to run around in that pen. He was excited to be out there, and he was just running around. We was kind of chasing him there a little bit. Again, I like to see you in control, and I like to see that you are that you know how to really move that animal around. You can keep its head up, and you can point it exactly where you want it to go. Good class of showmanship, though.
So congratulations, Tyler Gibson, with our champion senior showman. Now our junior showmanship.
Yeah, our two juniors, the young lady here had this one out in the crowd a little bit, but she had it under control, and she'd keep it going. She stayed on the right side of it. And I mean, she paid attention to the camera. She got that animal in front of where I needed to see it good. Thought she did a great job. And young man is another one. I could tell the kids probably showed pigs before a whole bunch and did a good job. But again, unfortunately, the pig just wasn't wanting to act as right. He'd get his head down, try to root a little too much, and we just couldn't control it as good and get it up and present it. That pig's head needs to be up, and it needs to be, you know, show a little more off in that front end, but just the way that one's designed. And, you know, that is an attractive part of it, so we really got to showcase that. So just work on keeping that one's head up all the time as we ask it to walk around.
So congratulations, Tanner Hopkins is our champion junior showman. Our lightweight market hog class.
All right, we get into our lightweight market class, and the young man there we used to go second in that showmanship deal. I still felt like he was the best though in terms of our in this particular class. That pig is really really trendy made and was big bodied and very shapely, and um, it's also one that as we ask it to get out and go, was sound enough for me and was just really cool made up in its front end and was just really good design. And, I mean, just heavy muscled, a big stout pig that's just stout featured that we like to see in terms of a market class. Young man that goes second, I thought that one was just really cool. That one is the longest, most attractive made pig in this class. It's just awesome fronted, really unique in his body shape there, and just square built. When we study it out of its hip, I think it may not have the extra bulge and shape we like to see. Maybe just a tick lighter muscle at this point, but that is a really really cool design one for sure. One that goes third is just a genuine kind of hog. Nothing special about the way it's built. It's functional. Well, it's a little straight, but you know it's functional as we study it in terms of its body design. But it's just one I think that if we just relax its shoulders a little bit, got its head up some, leveled up out of its hip, and a tick more set to its hock, could kind of give those extra bells and whistles we hear folks talk about. But just a super genuine, no doubt. The one that goes fourth is a pig for me, big bodied, heavy muscled kind of pig, but just too round off each side, round out of its shoulder and round out of its hip. Kind of threw me off on a structural standpoint. Wanted to just redesign it there. The one that goes fifth was kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum. Was too straight for me, too straight in its shoulder, too straight in its rear leg. A little too harsh in its underline as we studied there in its lower body. It was just a little too harsh there for me. Wouldn't mind seeing that one a little better in terms of its rib shape. And then the pig we usually go last is, I mean, pretty big hipped and big back kind of pig, just fell apart tremendously structurally. We stayed out and go just way too loose skeleton, weak topped, and just them legs kind of wanted to throw outside of its body pretty hard as we asked him to drive one. It just wasn't planted near square for me.
All right, so congratulations, Zach Wolfook, first place. Matthew Wolfook, second. Asher Watkins, hog number 2, is our third place. Tyler Gibson, fourth. Allison Allen 5th, and Asher Watkins with tag number 3 in 6th place in our heavyweight mark.
All right, the heavyweights. I like this big belted pig here to win. Especially that picture there, we get its nose up, and that one's just cool design, good in terms of its structure. Probably a little more mature looking, I guess, so to speak. Probably carrying a little extra condition on it. Didn't see that added shape down its top, but a big hipped one that's very cool. Wouldn't mind seeing that one just a little more unique up in his blade, be relaxed just a little bit, and be just a tick longer neck there. The one that goes second is just square built. We love that. Just wants to run downhill for me too bad there. His chest is the deepest part on it, not as good back in its flank, a little straight on them hind legs, but a good heavy muscled, stout kind of pig. Just want to pick that one up there out of the front of its skeleton. And then the one that goes third is another one that I think is just kind of made in 3 pieces. That one's straight shouldered, a little harsher body, and then there's 2 steep hip. And then with that too, I actually thought that was the plainest and lightest muscle one in this particular class. But 3 good, genuine heavyweight market hogs.
Congratulations, Grace Rose with tag number 9 is our first place. Tanner Hopkins, hog 335 is our second. And Tanner Hopkins, tag 336 is our third place. And we'll go into our champion drive.
Our champion drive, we got our light and heavyweight against each other. Unfortunately, on the picture the young man took of the lightweight doesn't look as special, but on the video, as we asked that one to go, he was extremely sound, cool made, big bodied, stout featured. That was just kind of cool, trendy market hog that I like to use. That was a good one. Congratulations, young man.
Congratulations. Zach Wolfick with our grand champion market hog. Reserve champion drive.
Greenback in that second place, and I told you guys I just love the way that one was designed. That one was cool built, just neat looking, long necked, and just extremely showy to me. And another one that's just built very, very square and was just, on the design standpoint, I like that one a whole bunch there. Congratulations, young man.
All right, congratulations, Matthew Wolfick with our reserve champion market hog. And now we'll do our senior showmanship for cattle.
Yep, single entry, but another one that I thought just nailed it, man. You were good. That thing was smooth walking. And, you set it up right. We asked you, we walk around it, man. You've shown cattle before. You know what's going on. I thought you did I thought you just did an excellent job with that one. Congratulations.
All right. And market steer class.
Yep, same young man there. But I like this steer, dude. As we talk about it, this one is just so sound, so practical, so good in terms of its muscle pattern. I thought that one was just very shapely and heavy muscled, finished kind of steer. He's conditioned right. You got him to the end point. He's ready to go. A sound one that is as genuine and practical kind of steers we could ask for. If there's a feedlot full of these things, there's a guy's going to make some money. So I think that thing is to be commended. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Keaton Hopkins with the Grand Champion Showman and Grand Champion Market Steer. And that concludes our 2020 4-H virtual livestock show. And I want to thank Noah for being our judge. And I just want to commend you kids for all of your hard work, for your perseverance, for your resilience, for pushing through to see this to the end. It did not look like it has in the years past, but y'all did a great job, and I'm super proud of y'all.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. And I hope maybe next year I can come see you in person, and we can go through this thing and do it for real. But congratulations, great job on your videos, great projects, and I wish y'all all the best as you continue through this year.